I'm life and business coach Samantha Siffring, and this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast, where you learn how to build a wildly successful business from home while raising kids. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Today, we are talking about visibility. This is one of the most important things in your business. Literally, people cannot hire you if they don't know that you exist. I don't know if you've thought about it that way before, like if you've really thought about, oh, people need to know who I am and know that I can help them to be able to hire me. This is one of the major things that I work on with all of my clients, is helping them to get visible. So we're going to be talking about why that matters and how to do that today. And as we're talking about this, I want to give you the invitation to get more help from me on getting more visible. So I'm really going to sell you on why visibility matters and why you should be really excited for it and the mindset that you should take into it. And after you hear this, you may find yourself thinking, great, now what? Where do I do this? Where do I go out and get more visible in front of people, in front of my ideal clients? So if that's you, I want to encourage you to go to getvisible.samanthasiffring.com. At that page, you can opt in to receive a free guide from me. So this is going to be a PDF download that gives you 61 ideas of where to get visible. So you're going to be able to look through this list, see what resonates with you, pick a couple things, get out there and try them. And I just think this little list, big list, of 61 things is really going to help you to wrap your mind around, like, where can I do this? What is available? I talk to a lot of people about how to get clients in their business, how to get visible in their business. And so often they ask me, like, but how? But where? Where do I find the people? And this is a free resource that I created for you to answer that question, to help you figure that out. There is not one right answer. And this is really what you need to know. You could look out there and see everyone who's successful in business does it a different way. There's not a cookie cutter way that we're all doing and it's all working exactly the same for all of us. And this can be really confusing and frustrating if you're looking at that and you're like, well, then what actually matters? What actually works? And it takes you finding your way. So I created this resource to help you find your way. I'm going to talk a little bit more on this episode about narrowing that down and figuring out, like, what is that sweet spot? What should be my place? And some of the myths that come along with this. But this resource is the most popular freebie I have ever done. I actually created it at the very beginning of my business when I first became a business coach. I created the visibility guide with 59 ways to get more visible, and I just updated it. There were a couple of things on there like Google Plus that don't exist anymore, and there's a couple of new things that have been invented like TikTok that I added on. So you are going to love this visibility guide. This is going to give you the clarity you've been waiting for. It is free, and there is no reason for you to not sign up for it. So go to getvisible.samanthasiffring.com and you can download that today. All right, let's talk about getting visible. So I've talked a little bit already about why visibility matters. And I think the best way to think about it is that people literally can't hire you if they don't know you exist and if they don't know that you can help them. So I want you to keep that in mind in your business, when you're taking action in your business, when you're putting things out there. how obvious is it to people what I'm doing? And how many people know I exist? That is really going to help you troubleshoot if you're putting yourself out there and things feel like they're not working. Now I want to walk you through some myths about visibility. So the biggest one that I hear all the time is that you have to be everywhere. You have to be on every platform, all the places. And this is a lie. This is setting up so many people for failure, and not the good kind of failure that you learn from. The kind of failure that makes you question if you can even do this at all and makes a lot of people quit. So I want you to know, you do not have to be everywhere. You can keep this simple. You can choose just one place or two places to be visible. And I want you to really constrain and keep this simple so that it fits into the time you have to grow your business. Look, we're not spending 100 hours a week growing our businesses. So why are we trying to be on all the platforms? It makes no sense. The accounts that do best, specifically on social media, are the ones that are consistently putting out valuable content. And how's that going to happen when you're trying to do that on every single platform in the limited amount of time you have to grow your business? It just doesn't make sense. So I want to encourage you to throw away this expectation that you need to be everywhere. I also want you to redefine how you think about consistency, because I have a lot of clients who hate the word consistency, and I use it a lot, as you may have noticed. And I think part of why people hate it is that they think that it means a certain thing. But I'll tell you this, if you look up the actual definition of consistency, it does not mean hourly, daily, 5 times a day, 3 times a day. It doesn't actually have a time frame. Think about that. Let that set in. I know minds are being blown right now. Consistency isn't defined by any time frame. Consistency is defined by the repeated nature of it. So whether it is every hour, every day, every 3 days, every week, whatever it is, it's that repetition. It's those regular intervals between something. So I want you to stop using the idea of consistency against yourself. So many of you, man, I didn't think I was going to rant about this, but I have seen so many of you use the idea of consistency to then diminish who you are as a business owner. Like, you've made your wrong idea and wrong definition of consistency mean that you can't make 100K, you can't make 500K, you can't make $1 million. You're not a real business owner. You're not a serious CEO, whatever it is, whatever story you've made up. I want you to just throw that away because it's based in a misconception about what consistency is. You get to define whatever that is. Think about me. My podcast comes out every week. I record these ahead of time by a lot. Like, I'm several months ahead at this point of my podcast. And that's consistent, right? That's consistent. Also, there was times where I was recording it the day before. There was for sure times, like years, where I was recording it the majority of the time the day before, okay? And now I'm getting to this place where I'm like a month and a half in advance. That's what I'm working towards right now, and it's happening this week. So you get to decide what consistency means to you, all right? And you get to decide, like, what's going to work for me. I also see a myth that posting on social media makes you visible. Like, oh, I went on my business Instagram and I posted something, so now I'm visible. Why don't I have clients? Maybe it's because you have like 50 followers. And I don't mean that in a mean way. We all have to start somewhere. Okay? I do not have a huge audience, and a huge audience is not required. I know people who make about the same amount of money as me who have like 10 times the audience. You do not have to have a huge audience. But I also don't want you putting something out there to like 5 people and thinking that it's like super visible. We really want to think about how do we get this in front of as many eyeballs as possible. So important. I also see people misunderstanding visibility in like really interesting and different ways. So my first experience with a business coach was with a coach who, or like a hired business coach, was with a coach who had used in-person networking to build their business. And I was 0% interested in in-person networking. I had young children at home. I also really hate small talk. It is not my strength. I don't enjoy engaging with people that way. I found in-person networking extremely uncomfortable and not effective. So when I heard her talking about in-person networking, my brain wanted to offer that I couldn't do it. I couldn't follow her process because I was going to do that thing differently than her. But what I decided to do instead was to apply what she was teaching, apply it to meeting people in Facebook groups, which is something that was natural and was easy for me and was something that I had time for and was eager and willing to figure out. So notice how I didn't go to her and whine about the networking events. Notice how I didn't go to her and say, that's not going to work for me, so what else can I do? Instead of being that kind of a client, I figured it out. I thought, okay, here's the thing that I want to try. How is that actually exactly the same as the thing that she did? And then I was like, well, of course it's the same. We're both literally going into rooms and meeting people. My room is a virtual room in a Facebook group, and hers is a networking event in person. And I can go into more rooms and meet more people in a shorter amount of time because Facebook has all the rooms in one place and I don't need to leave my house. And I can jump in and out of all the rooms, and the rooms are filled with thousands of people. So then I was like, great, not only am I doing the same thing in the spirit of what she described, I'm also potentially doing it better and more efficiently. Isn't that such a better way to think about it than like, I'm doing it wrong, I need her to tell me the other thing to do? So different. The energy was so different. So here's what I see happen for a lot of people. They hear what a successful person says, and they think that's the only way to do it. And they make themselves wrong if they either can't do that or just don't want to. And then because they've made themselves wrong, they want that coach or that person to tell them another right way. They want that person to help them out of that discomfort of thinking they're wrong instead of just rejecting the idea that they're wrong. Like, notice how I didn't make myself wrong. I looked at how does the thing that I want to do fit perfectly into the process that she's teaching. And it worked brilliantly. So being visible is not just in one format. And what's so funny is, so the mentor that I worked with had done in person, and I was like, nope, I'm totally doing online. And now I have clients who are like, oh, I don't know about Facebook groups. And I'm like, I don't care if you're doing the Facebook groups or not. I think they're amazing, but like, figure out your thing, right? figure out your thing. You don't have to do my thing, but also I'm not going to tell you your thing. You have to figure out your thing. But I will give you that visibility guide with 61 different ideas to get you started. Finally, I think a lot of people think visibility has to happen on social media. And I want to tell you that I have numerous clients whose most visible place is not social media. There are so many options for you outside of social media. I think if you have negative thoughts about social media, you should work on those because it really is a powerful tool for online entrepreneurs, but it's not a requirement. So don't limit yourself to just social media. Okay, so I want you to have positive thoughts about getting out there. I want you to have a willingness to figure out your best way. And I want you to keep it really simple so that it's easy for you to follow through. Here's a little tip to help you figure out your best way. I think that this is like a Venn diagram. So I want you to think of two circles and they overlap. One circle is where your ideal client is. Where are they hanging out already? And the other one is where do you shine best? And I want you to think outside the box a little. This may not be the thing that's most comfortable for you right now. I have a client who went viral on TikTok. And at first, TikTok was not the place she was most comfortable. She had never done it before. But she came with this willingness to try and this willingness to play. And she has had multiple different videos go viral on that platform when she's approached it from that mentality. So the place that you might shine best may not be a place you've even been yet. It may not be the place that is most comfortable. So I want you to experiment. I want you to test things out. I want you to follow what would sound fun. Those are going to give you clues to where you shine best. I also want you to know that it's okay to feel bad. I have a whole podcast episode called Visibility Shame that we're going to link up. This is so good for all of you who are pushing yourselves to get more visible right now. You will feel visibility shame. That will happen, and that's okay. Feeling bad is not a sign that things have gone wrong, okay? Sometimes feeling bad is just a sign that you're putting yourself out there in a new way. I also want you to be patient. I want you to know that getting visible and getting clients from being visible can take time. That's okay. This is like planting a garden. And I always talk to my clients about planting a garden and then going back the next day and digging up the seeds to look for the tomatoes. Like, no. Give it time to grow and develop and mature. Don't be out there looking for evidence that it's working. Work inside of you to build the belief that it's working. And then finally, I want you to be able to sit with your discomfort. This is another thing under the umbrella of visibility shame. It probably will be uncomfortable. As women, we have really been socialized and conditioned to not be super vocal, to not be super visible, and to kind of fly under the radar and not rock the boat and not draw attention to ourselves and not upset people. And so getting visible is going to challenge all of that programming inside of you. And so you have to be willing to sit with fear, to sit with that visibility shame, to sit with that discomfort, and to take consistent action even when you're feeling that way. That is the secret to success. All right. Take these tips and take that free visibility guide and get out there and get more visible. Again, that link is getvisible.samanthasiffring.com. I'll talk to you again next week. If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me over in my program, Mama to CEO. There's you, and there's the consistent income you want to make in your business, and I help you remove everything standing in between. It's lifetime access for mastering your marketing, sales, time, and everything else you need to have the business and life you really want. Whether it's making your first 1,000 or 100,000, I can help you do it. To join, go to mamatoceo.com, mamatoceo.com.